Take a breath. Take a sigh. FSU 7-0. And Elko's boys, they made you work for this one. This was a great win. Florida State goes to 7-0 for the first time since 2014. We are talking rarefied air. They beat Duke 38-20. Not only do they win, they covered the spread, which would seem totally just crazy if you talk to anybody after the first quarter. But Florida State holds on. They cannot be killed. And they poured on with a massive fourth quarter to just choke the life out of this game. Eminently impressive win, team victory, a lot of things that we're going to talk about that need to get cleaned up. But, man, you got to give Duke their props, man. Great team, fantastic defense. Absolutely fantastic defense, well-coordinated, great game plan. And they did a lot of things to you that Duke does to win these big games. And FSU responded way better than like a team like Clemson did. Adam, what do you think about the totality of the performance?
It was a Mike Norvell football team, right? I mean, we were just talking about it before we jumped in here. They want to be playing their best in the fourth quarter. They want to be playing their best in November. Like they're going to keep chipping away at you. They're going to keep banging. I mean, they're just going to keep putting their head on the football. They're going to keep doing what they need to do. And they're going to find a way to win a football game. I mean, it's just kind of who they are. Like, I don't know. I thought that one was going to be an L, and
a lot of people did.
They just kept kind of fighting, and then suddenly they decide to unleash Jordan as a runner, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, I'm not sure Duke was going to get a stop on them. I mean, Duke, and you've heard Atkins talk about it, like, you know, they want to keep coming in waves at you, and offensively and on the offensive line they do. You saw a ton of different offensive line combinations. I mean, Duke was gasser at the end. They couldn't, and they've only got so many bodies that they can kind of throw at you because their depth's not great. Like it just, I don't think they could have stopped Florida State at all in that fourth quarter, no matter what was going to happen, and whether Riley Leonard kept playing or not. And I just kind of think that's what this team is. Like it's not always going to be pretty. But come the fourth quarter, I think that they're going to be playing their best football, and they're going to find a way to wear you out and get the victory.
It almost reminds me of that broad assassin from Austin Powers 2. The unkillable lady. Like, why won't you die? Florida State does not die. They are a pressure fighter. No, but thank you. I'm not on steroids.
Go fight.
Anyway, they are a pressure fighter. They are the Max Holloway of college football. They will get in your face immediately, and they will test your depth, and they will hit you with attritive damage to body blows, and they will eventually take your soul in the fourth quarter. I want to talk about that because it's so – there's all of these weapons on this Mike Norvell team, the Jaheim Bells, Keon Coleman's, Jordan Travis, the running backs, the defensive linemen. There's all of these like singular weapons. This team's biggest weapon is its endurance.
Yeah.
Is its depth, is its response to adversity. They will not die. You cannot put them away yet. Now, you played a little bit close to the margins in the first three quarters, and we'll talk about that. But we'll do that near the back end because I want to talk about the good. But this team's biggest weapon is its mentality, dude. The way that it comes at you. And the only thing that matters at the end of the day, like there's plenty of things that we can dissect that they need to clean up, but you gotta analyze a football game in the totality of a game. And for a full 60 minutes, you beat Duke's ass by 18 points. At the end, you wore them down. You broke a great, well-coached, really, really good unit in the trenches, and you smacked them around, dude, to the point where, like Adam said, if the fourth quarter was 10 minutes longer, Florida State would have scored 50.
It's kind of wild. Like, I mean, we were not thrilled with what was going on as we were texting.
For the first three, our group chat was a minefield, dude. It was
at halftime, they still had Florida State like projected to win the football game. This is game on paper, and you know, it's projections. It's again game on paper, but there was only a small section of the game where it felt like the tide had turned in Duke's favor, and I'm assuming that was when they were kind of down deep, and then Leonard got hurt. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I still think even if they get in there, and I'm not guaranteed they were going to get in, but I still think I don't think they could stop you. I just don't think that they. Yes, I am. Thanks, Gator Kirk. I don't think that they could. I don't think they were going to stop you. I think Duke was absolutely gassed.
Listen,
They'd given it everything they had.
right.
They had left it all out there on the field, and it was just lights out at that point.
And to be honest with you, Adam, everybody's going to talk about Riley Leonard's absence as like the big pivotal turning point. No, to me, it wasn't. The pivotal turning point is when on the offensive side of the ball, Alex Atkins and Mike Norvell decided to establish Jordan Travis as a pull threat.
Well,
and that changed everything.
I also think it was the second half. As soon as I heard, I think it was Holly Rowe talk about Mike decided they really wanted to get the north-south run game going and all this, and he's coming out in these tight formations, and I thought to myself, are we going to do this shit again? Like,
because we know the outcome, man. We know the outcome.
Over and over and over again, we've banged our head on that wall this year, and I know it's in the fourth quarter paid off, but they just finally they were able to get ahead on first down. They were able to establish tempo. It's like they stopped screwing around with that stuff. They decided that they were going to spread them out. They were going to get the football out on the edges. They were going to get timing throws for Jordan to receivers. They were going to get the RPO game going again and not just try to force feed the ball in the middle of the field. And then they got Jordan's legs going. And it was just like you played ahead the entire rest of the half after that.
Yeah, easily. They could not keep up with you, man. That's when you really started to establish that you were the better team. Yeah. So let's talk about the good first. We can talk about the bad at the back end. The good. You outscored Duke 21-0 in the fourth quarter. It was looking hairy there, honestly, at the end of the third, because it was nobody scored in the third quarter, right? Which is surprising, especially for a Mike Norvell team, the way that they come out at a halftime. But you honestly, the fourth quarter was yours. That's what won you the game unequivocally. Talk about that fourth quarter. Was it a function of depth? What really stood out to you about that 25% of the game that won FSU this victory?
Yeah, I think it was a function of depth. I mean, as I said, Duke had 6 guys play on the defensive line. I'll have to go back and look at it when we watch the tape, but 5 or 6 guys play along the defensive line at like high levels. Florida State had 7 guys play on the offensive line. And you saw them take over in the second half or in the fourth quarter, and it was for good reason. Like first off, they got Jordan Travis running the football. He decided to run the football a little bit, which was nice. But they just were able to start getting running lanes. You got Casey Roddick out of there. I don't want to say I've been banging that drum for a couple weeks now, but
your interior had a rough game. Duke, and we'll talk about this at the back end. Duke outplayed you on the line of scrimmage, both sides for 3 quarters. And I thought they outplayed them handily.
Yeah, it felt like I think the Leonard injury definitely took some gas out of Duke. I don't think you can deny that. Like it felt like the wind came out of their sails a little bit, but especially after you get the fourth down stop, then you get the freaking punter booms the hell out of that ball. But you get the fourth down stop. You get the fourth down stop and you drive it whatever 94 yards or whatever that drive ended up being, and you go and score. And then you get another stop. That kid booms the hell out of the punt. You go score again. Like it all kind of felt like it came crumbling down around them there in the fourth quarter. And I think a lot of that had to do with, again, you just keep chipping away. Like they're going to throw their haymakers in the fourth quarter. They're going to be good with kind of hanging around, keeping themselves in the game. They're going to fight. And then in the fourth quarter, they're just going to throw it all out there. They're kind of Rocky Balboa, a little Philadelphia reference.
They are like little Jake LaMotta action, dude. Absorb, absorb, absorb. You cannot be killed with mortal weapons. You shall die eventually. So that's the first main thing I want to talk about. The second positive that I want to talk about is a guy that has had a lot of scrutiny on him, a lot of it justified, and a lot of it is honestly attributed to the level of play he can get to, and that's Jordan Travis, man.
Yeah.
What I thought it was unequivocally his best game. It did not start off his best, but I thought that this was his best game tonight. He was tested by a great defense. They came out with a great defensive game plan. I thought Duke, you got to give Elko a hat tip, dude. He came at it.
Oh, he's a stud.
It's like the anti-Babers. He came at it to win, and he put his team in a position to win. They just didn't get it done in the end. But Jordan Travis, 27 to 36, 268 through the air, 2 touchdowns to 1 pick, which was like, Marron, what are we doing here? But the thing that was interesting to me, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown, long of 20. He was your leading rusher tonight. It made everything – all of the things that we've been like racking our brains on, right? Like, why doesn't this team look like last year at the back end with all of this, like this talent? Why is it so start and stuttery? Why is it sputtering? When you establish Jordan as a pull threat, it makes everything easier.
Yeah.
It establishes those running lanes for Rodney Hill, Keziah Holmes, Lawrence Toafili. It establishes the screen game. It establishes everything. So my wish is that I hope the offense takes the fourth quarter of Duke like we thought the defense took the second half of Clemson. Not only is this something that worked in game, I think this is something that you can carry forward. Now, you don't need to run Jordan Travis into the ground. He is a talented passer surrounded by preternatural receivers, just extreme talent on the outside. But establish him as a pull threat because it makes all of those talented guys around him, it makes their lives easier.
Yeah.
I hope we continue to do that. But, dude, massive kudos to Jordan Travis. Kept his team in the game and led them down to a victory. Like he said in the post-game interview, chipping away until the fourth quarter. Just FSU was the better team. And you can depth, responsiveness, and everything plays into it, man. But led by a great leader in Jordan Travis, and dude, he deserves a lot of credit after this game. What did you think about his performance?
Yeah, I mean, it might have been a Heisman moment for him, and I know
absolutely,
absolutely. That might sound silly because he hasn't had the season that everybody has kind of thought that he was going to have. But we've got plenty of football left to play here down the stretch, and some big games that are going to be at nighttime. Miami, Florida, those are going to be big games, heavily televised games where voters are going to be watching. So if he continues along this trend, you never know what kind of conversation he can get himself into there. But Lawrence, that's a gameonpaper.com. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I thought it was his best game overall. He was in control really kind of throughout the football game. I think sometimes play calling gets them bogged down a little bit in the inability to get to run and get their tempo, get into their tempo and kind of get moving. But as he got into that, you just saw how comfortable he was. I mean, he was just in complete control. I would love to know, was it a game plan? I'm sure it wasn't a game plan thing. I would love to know why fourth quarter it's like suddenly here comes him with a run game.
It is, dude. The was switch flips, right?
Was it him? Was it Mike? What? I would love to know what the answer is there. I know the game plan going into the game was to do a lot of RPO stuff. We saw that. He was in complete control of that. He was making great decisions. I really didn't think that he made a ton of bad decisions overall in the game. I think a lot of people were frustrated with the deep throw to Keon, but Keon's going to walk in for a touchdown if he doesn't get held there. Like, I mean,
he had a couple misfires. I will say in the first half, he had a couple misfires.
Yeah. He had a couple balls that got a little high on him, but I mean, overall, I thought he played really well. I thought he played his best game. And all right, sorry. Game on paper. Sorry, people.
But anyway, like we said, he distinguished himself. He was the engine.
Yeah.
Against Duke's best, against some of college football's best, man. Extremely impressive defensive performance. On the other side of the ball, is there anything on the defensive side that you want to talk about? I thought Shaheem Brown, he's continuing to stack these really good performances together. Anybody on the defensive side that you want to distinguish before maybe we get into, I don't want to talk about the negatives, but maybe the things that we need to clean up, or if there's something else that you want to mention. Jaheim Bell, great performance from him. He had 8 catches tonight, 8 for 53.
Yeah.
He was a big
focus for him.
Not an explosive piece, but this is what we were talking about before. Florida State needs to get the success rate up. Mm-hmm. They need to have an intermediate option. Jaheim Bell was that. Great performance from him, very sure-handed, and he converted a lot of very high leverage situations for the Noles. That success rate, right?
Red zone success rate 70%, third down 62%, success rate overall 59%. Like, I mean, that's
That's huge, man. And
Yeah,
that's what we were crying to see improvement in.
right.
And that's what helped win you the game, because Duke made you string some long drives together.
Absolutely. I mean,
12 play, 14 play drives. Like, these are not things that a Mike Norwell offense is synonymous with. And those are things that Duke forced you to do. That like 95-yard, 96-yard, whatever drive, that's a season saving. Like, that is a signature drive.
Look at your
That
average
is
starting field
huge.
position. Your own 6.
That's crazy.
It's
That's
nuts.
crazy. And you
Hey,
won this game by 18 points, man.
yeah.
Like, against a really, really, really good defense. Just
Yeah.
so many positives
All
there.
right. So let's talk about the defense, because I think
Okay.
I think there's a lot of interesting conversation to be had there. You were pretty fired up at Adam Fuller in the first half, and I'm sure everybody else was.
Were
I
you?
don't know. No, I wasn't. No, I
Okay,
really
well, let
wasn't.
me let, let
I
me
really
let me
wasn't.
do okay, I'm gonna do the irrational thing, and I'll let you refute my points.
All right, go ahead.
You're coming in against Duke.
Yeah.
This is not healthy, Duke. Riley Leonard is banged up. You ended
Right.
up knocking him out of the game.
Oh no.
You knew that you had to stop the run. That was the thing you had to do immediately. You had to stop the run, and if you did that, the game was basically yours. So you had one thing to do. You knew that Duke had to establish the run, because that's all they had.
Right.
And for 3 quarters, you're like the kids were averaging like 10 yards per carry outside of the tackles. They were averaging like 5 or 6 yards per carry inside. You got owned. You got absolutely owned. And I know we were playing a lot of two back that I remember seeing. We're going to go over the film. I could be wrong. We're playing a lot of two back. You were playing a lot of light box stuff. You did not set the edge. Your defensive ends played like garbage for a large part of this game, setting the edge, took poor angles from the cornerbacks. I thought that the defensive game plan against a team that was one-dimensional by their own personnel constraints was laughable. Now, I know that there's execution involved, but dude, you got to step in quicker and clean it up. You have to suck the light. You gave Duke too many opportunities to make this a competitive matchup. You could have killed them immediately because you knew what they had to do. Everybody in the stadium knew what they had to do, and they were still able to drive it on you consistently. So to me, that was infuriating. It got cleaned up, and that's good that it did. And you only ended up giving 13 points against their offense, which is kind of what I expected in my prediction. It just, the way that it looked, man, really pissed me off for a long time, just because you knew what they had to do going in. I don't know. Talk me off the ledge. Why? Like, normally I'm very nuanced. I'm very precise. I try to keep it very even keel. Shit, normally you and Kev are the ones that are mad in the group chat. I'm like, hey, take it easy, tranquilo. Like, it's all good. I was incensed, man, just at the way that Duke was getting yards on you.
Miami's going to beat Clemson.
Well, whatever. We beat Clemson too, and we'll beat Miami. Anyway, what do you think? Why am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't know if Kev is trying to get in here. I don't know if he wants me to add him. I'm not sure what he's doing. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so I think first the too high stuff is getting over discussed because they are rolling safeties down quite a bit. They're rolling them late. I think it's really getting overstated. Everybody's talking about it. Too high. And a lot of that started because of Kev. He's highlighted how much too high coverage we play. And it's true, but that's pre-snap. Post-snap, they are rotating quite a bit.
Looks like they're rotating a little late.
Well, but rotation is rotation. That guy's still in the box. He's still involved in the run game. Like, the problem is sometimes it's Kevin Knowles, and that's an issue for you. But anyway, so they are rotating, and like that one third down play, I remember we were talking about it. They had the big chunk run on third down. Like, you rotated into the box, the safety was there. He was like at 6 yards, and you get the backer, Deloach, and you get the safety chasing the arrow route. Like, that's a miscommunication. Those shouldn't be happening. That's on Adam Fuller and the secondary. I just thought there's no magic answer if you're getting beat up front, and they were getting beat up front. Like, at some point, as a defensive coordinator, like, Yeah, you could say, all right, the answer is to blitz more. Like you blitz, okay. You start blitzing against that stuff, and you miss, then they're going for 60, and I don't think that that's the right answer with what you expect your offense is going to become.
That's
They blitzed a
fair.
fair amount off the edge.
They did.
There was a couple of plays. There was one play in the red zone where he didn't make the tackle, right? It was a perfectly called blitz. He didn't know whether to take the quarterback or the running back, and he took nobody. And there were a couple of plays where they were able to bounce outside. What was their success rate?
Duke's 40%.
Yeah, I mean, that's high.
Florida State's was 59.
Right. So, I mean, that tells you that you kind of controlled the line of scrimmage, even though it didn't look like you controlled the line of scrimmage. Because you're right. I mean, it looked like the inside of the offensive line or the defensive line, the interior of the defensive line seemed like they were getting pushed off the ball consistently.
Yeah.
They were for the first 3 quarters. Now, those are 4-quarter stats, but I mean, you watched the game too. We got smoked for the first 3 quarters up front. Now, that's a personnel thing, but the technique with which the defensive ends were playing, I didn't know. It just confused me why we were leaving the edge so open for business so immediately.
I think some of the stuff was they were spilling, and
yeah,
some of the runs were getting spilled, and then they were spilling to Fentrell Cypress, who was out to lunch on a couple of his angles, which was very frustrating. That one, the first big touchdown run, his angle's horrible. He's got to come in and set an edge there, and he just doesn't do it. I mean, it's criminal. So I thought a couple times that the ends jumped inside when they got to stay outside. But then there's a couple times. I mean, look, I don't want you don't want to turn this into the official but there's one that bounces. Tatum Bethune's the edge setter, and he just gets grabbed. Like, the hell do you do about that?
Listen, I think that's a good caveat in this discussion. Some of the most egregious holding I've seen, and credit to Duke, man. Try it out and see if the officials call it. Yeah. They only did a couple of times, and it raised your success rate past a level that it should have been with the personnel that you had. So credit to them for doing it. I don't know, Kev. What did you think? Am I being too hyperbolic on the coordination of the defense tonight for the first 3 quarters? It's just coming in. Duke was one-dimensional from the outset. They had no deep threat whatsoever. Even with Riley Leonard, he could not complete a pass 15 yards down the field to save his life. He didn't have the legs underneath him. Why the hell were they so successful?
I mean, so you gave them 2 short fields because you missed 2 fourth downs. And then there was that one. The first touchdown was there looked to be a hold on the outside, and then that's what got Fentrell Cypress 1-on-1. He made a bad play. You need one of those 2 things to happen, and you're not talking about a 40-yard touchdown. I mean, I'm with you, but I don't know if I'm with you that Duke was entirely too successful running the ball when that's all they had.
Yeah,
but I don't really know, like, outside of just going zero coverage and saying like we're gonna just put 9 in the box. I don't really understand. Like, I don't understand why your defensive linemen were getting whipped against Duke. Like, that's
I don't either, and we'll check that out when we do the film review, because I want to know if it's a function of when the new quarterback came in. I thought that I think it was a function, like Adam talked earlier, of the depth and just like continuing to come at them in waves. I want to see what exactly led to the defensive. We know it led to the offensive success in the 4th quarter, but what led to the defensive success? Did they do something different? Did they just play better? Was Duke's offensive line gassed? I don't know. We'll take a look. What do you think?
I think some of it, you don't tackle the ball very well, which is frustrating.
That's a great point. We're
linebackers and secondary.
We absorb a lot of contact. Man.
Yeah, I don't think Kalen doesn't tackle the ball very well. Knowles doesn't tackle the ball very well. Like, if they were better there, I think we're not really having this conversation. But anyway, I mean, we are there. So I don't think you tackle the ball very well, which is allowing Duke to get into those middle or those 50-50 situations. Like, Duke felt like they played at 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 quite a bit tonight.
Yep.
And that puts them in a position like, yes, it's easy for us to sit here on our couches or in the press box or in the stands and say, well, Riley Leonard's not a threat. But you have to treat him like one because he can throw the football. Like, and they did show you a couple times that they could get behind you.
He got the ball out quick. I will say that for Riley Leonard tonight. He understood his own limitations, and that offense looked way smoother with him and just like firing the ball off quick.
So I think that it's a little bit unfair to say, well, he's not a threat, just stop the run. Like, no, you do have to be cognizant of him because he can throw the football. And
I don't know if it's unfair to say. I mean, like I'm with you. Like he's got that ability, but I don't know, dude. They were way too successful for the first 3 quarters, dude. Like averaging 10 yards per carry outside the tackles.
I think the success was. I think when we're going to go back and look at it, the success came on a couple plays, and that's what's going to aggravate the hell out of us.
Okay,
because those couple plays are going to stand out. Like they only ended up rushing for 197. Is that what I had it at? 197, which like that's entirely too much for sure. They ran it 35 times at 5.6 yards per carry. Like their EPA per play is only 0.13. So I mean, that's not astronomical.
No, and a lot of it was like Kev said, situational, right? The pick 6, that's 7 points. Missed 4th down conversion, some short field stuff. I'm not going to say we played into Duke's game. We kind of did with our first half play. We played pretty stupid for a decent amount of this game. And that's how Duke gets their wins, man.
Right.
Like they take advantage of every opportunity that's given to them. So that's a good point. I mean, but the field position thing is a good point.
And the philosophy is like, all right, you want to run the football. Like, okay, you keep running the football. Like you can keep doing that. Eventually you're going to get a hold. We're going to get a stop. Like, and I think over the course of a game, over 60 minutes, that plays out, and it played out tonight. Like
it did play out tonight. That's a good point too.
And you found yourself in a situation in the end of the game where you were the fresher team, you were the better team, and you were able to go out there and just kind of take it from them. And you were able to wear them out, and I think that's what they want to be. Like they're okay with it. I mean, obviously they want to get stops, they want to get better, they want to fit the ball better than they did tonight. They didn't fit the ball well tonight at all, and that's something they got to get cleaned up. I don't know why that happened. They've been doing that much better the last couple weeks. I don't know the answer to that without watching the tape, and we'll go back and see what the hell was really going on. You know, was there some eye candy? Was it just stressful?
A lot of motion from Duke. Yeah, there's a lot of like
motion.
pre-snap motion and things like that, maybe to make us to kind of declare what we were doing. A lot of familiarity on that Duke coaching staff with ours. Kevin Johns, Mike Elko being like the Adam Fuller tree and all that stuff. Like there was a lot of familiarity with the stuff we like to do. What are you mumbling about?
Clemson is dog meat, man. What in the world?
What did they lose?
Yeah, they lost in double overtime.
Good, dude. They lost to us. Miami's going to lose to us. Everybody's going to lose to us. Not a problem. See you later, Dabs. I don't care.
Yeah.
What do we think? Do we feel? I think that's a great point, dude. This is a 60-minute game. This team is built to win a 60-minute game. It does not look on your cardiac health. It doesn't go the way you would like it to go a lot of the time. But god dang, is it effective, man? They covered. They beat Duke by 18. Like it was
right.
And if the game would have been 5 quarters, they would have beat them by 45. Like it's
right.
I mean,
they're built to win for the long haul.
Follow Georgia over the past couple of years. I mean, how many games were they just beating teams 50-0? More often than not, it's you're duking them out and you just out talent, out depth over the course of a game. I think this is kind of what modern wins over ranked opponents look like for elite teams. I'm not convinced that you have the starting lines to really just push good teams around.
Not from the outset, yeah.
I think you have the depth and the talent on the lines and in the skill positions to just wear teams out. I
think that's well said. This might, like you said, dude, this just might be the new meta. like of obtaining a top 20 win, dude. Duke is the number 16 team in the country.
Yeah.
Like their only loss was a squeaker against Notre Dame at Notre Dame, right? Like that's a real good football team, dude. And you just kicked their ass worse than anybody has the entire season. The way you did it may have given some people some heartburn, but my God, it's effective. So this is,
I mean,
Mike, go ahead.
I think this Duke team is built like we were built last year. They're just built to not lose. They're built to hang in there. They're going to be tough. They're going to rotate a lot of people in. They're going to just try to be a physical football team. And I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you're frustrated because you should have been able to get a few scores in that first half and get a little bit of a lead, but you didn't. But you responded.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's a great point. You're frustrated because of what you wanted it to look like, but the way that it looked like at the end, man, a viable strategy is a viable strategy. And it was a great game. And you saw there were teams that are looked at the same tier of Florida State, like in Oklahoma, that had a way tougher time against a way less of opponent like a UCF. This is a great win, man. Celebrate it. And the way you got it done, effective.
Yeah.
What do we think, guys? Do we feel better about or worse about this team? I feel much better. This was a stern test, and it was a test that stayed in your face for almost the entire game. You outlasted it, and you found a way around it. Credit to the coaching staff, credit to the players, credit to the fans, dude, credit to the environment, because awesome stuff. And you won. Fantastic test, and you passed it with flying colors. Adam, do you feel the same way?
Kev left. Yeah,
Hi,
I do. Maybe he'll come back and be able to get his thoughts in. Yeah, this team is what it is. Like, it's going to aggravate the hell out of you at times, but in the end, like they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to wear you down and go get the victory when it matters the most. And that's all that matters, is that scoreboard at the very end. We haven't even talked about the kick return for touchdown. Like, that was insane.
Man,
that was a massive point in the football game.
That one, that in the 95 or 96 yard drive.
Yeah.
Man, the immediate response by Deuce Spann, and I don't know if I should say Spawn, because every single announcer has called him Spawn. I'm not yet. What, dude? And they had Mike Norvell mic'd up about putting the ball in the left hand and using the stiff arm of the right and hitting the crease.
Yep.
That attention to detail and coaching, man. We have ourselves a great one in Mike Norvell and all those guys. Credit to Taziki John. Fantastic special teams coaching. Man, Deuce hit that crease, and this is a guy that
he's got speed.
He doesn't get a lot of opportunities on offense, and it's not particularly his fault, just with the embarrassment of riches that we have. But he is a dude that is bought into this team. And when the ball is in his hands for the limited times that it is,
he makes plays.
He makes the most of it, man. And he deserves all the credit. Fantastic play. Got the crowd back into it. The environment kept them bought in, where we very could have, that was Mike Elko's wet dream, right?
Yeah.
Being up by 10, the pick six. The crowd of 80,000 people was kind of out of it a little bit, and Deuce pulled him right back in. Great winning football play from a winning football team. Absolutely, Adam. Good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, though, this team is what it is. It's gonna fight you for 4 quarters. Sometimes they're gonna fight themselves for 4 quarters, but their depth's gonna find a way to kind of take over in the long run. It feels like, and they're gonna wear you down, and they're gonna beat you when it matters the most, and that's at the very end of the football game. I wonder if they continue to learn lessons about themselves, getting Jordan more involved. This was a big game. They got him involved. He was involved early, then he was way more involved late. We'll see how that trend continues. You need to get Johnny back, but hopefully you got a couple weeks you can get him healthy. It looked like they said he banged his head. They said it was a head injury.
I thought it was a knee, dude.
He planted his knee. They classified it as a head injury from the sideline. So we'll see what that ends up being. I don't know. Probably not going to see him for a little bit, and get him healthy. But need to continue to find a ways to get Keon Coleman the ball, get Jaheim Bell the ball, get some of those other running backs the ball. I love Trey Benson, but some of those other guys just look more comfortable running up in there. And a lot of it is they're just able to make that start-stop move in the hole on some of these inside zone runs that end up getting you those 4 or 5 yards. And that plays a big role. So not burying Trey, want to continue to see Trey, but let's mix those other guys in there a little bit.
No, he had a couple nice runs too, but I'm with you. Sometimes taking the profit in the running game, like people have been pressing Jordan Travis for in the passing game, it's extremely effective. You got to win first down. Anyways, you got to win first down. You got to win the game. That's just right. Like we won the game. Florida State 7-0, a top 20 victory over Duke at home. They did what they needed to do. 9 Fafilian recruits in the stands. It was nice. We've got some crystal balls. We've got some recruiting information. Obviously, the way that you need to go with all of this stuff going down, that would be Noles247.com. If you're not a subscriber, I think less of you. And you should think less of yourself. So fix it so I can have a great opinion of you again. Subscribe to Noles247.com. Subscribe to our YouTube page, Noles247 YouTube subscription notifications on. X's and Noles for the film review that we will do for this. Subscriptions, notifications on. Boop, boop, boop. And stay with us. We love you, Florida State. 7-0.
Yeah.
7-0. 7 wins.
Be on the lookout for the Battle's End. I think they're going to be sending out a little some stuff on social media. $70 for 7-0.
Yeah, man, help them out. Help them out.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. You want to continue to see this kind of football? Get signed up. Get yourself a little membership with the Battle's End, and let's keep this train rolling.
Only way you out depth people is with players. Sign up to the Battle's End. You guys had a little couple of cups of the old brown stuff tonight. Send your money. Don't worry about it. You can explain it to your wife later. We love you. Thank you for being with us. Florida State 7-0. Just phenomenal start. Like I said, first time since 2014. Soak it in, bask in it, have a couple more cups of the brown. We love you. Keep chopping. Keep chopping.